Okay, hi. Hello again. I recorded this whole video and it had no audio. So I'm doing it again. I've been having nothing but technical issues when making these videos, and that's just life, man. I don't know what else to say. With that note, I did my last video about comparison, and I think it was good, but I don't know if it fully touched on influence. I think comparison, I mainly focused on like you yourself comparing to another person or a body of work or like what someone is doing externally. I wanted to focus more on how others' influence on you or their witnessing of you changes your perception of yourself. I think that is something much more interesting to unpack than just simply comparison itself. So I wanted to open up some of my journals. Being someone who does journal and has been journaling for the past like 4 years, it's really weird to go back and reread your stuff from maybe like 3, 4 years ago, because you see how much you change as a person. And not only just like physically, but like your journal is your mental experience and like how you talk to yourself, and you're basically like writing nonsense to yourself. Or maybe nonsense isn't nice to say, but like rememberings to yourself. Maybe that's more whimsical of a term. Um, but I feel like the past maybe year or so, I've really noticed how my writing has changed and how I'm witnessing social dynamics at a much more complex rate compared to how things used to just happen to me as an adolescent. Like I feel like when I was a teenager, or even in my earlier 20s, like when I was just starting to become a person, it feels like the way not only I would talk to myself but describe events, I always felt like things were constantly happening to me. And I was reacting, like I was coming from a very reactive headspace when I would write these things. So it would be that kind of dramatic, like, woe is me. I had such like a victim mentality too, of this happened to me. I'm so sad. I can't believe they did this to me. I'm so upset. I'm so blah, 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 blah. And like, it's immature reading it back. It's not cringeworthy because I think I'm valid in what I was feeling at the time. But it's definitely something that I'm just like, damn, I could have handled that a lot better. Or I really let my emotions take over and I really let my reactivity kind of run the driving seat of that situation that I was doing and behaving in. And like, I can even see it in my work, like visually as well, that kind of immaturity of things happening to me instead of me taking it as an opportunity to reflect and learn on something. And what do I mean by being reactive? Like, I'm going through the process of regulating myself because I feel like for the past 5 years I've been extremely dysregulated in the form of like my anxiety just taking over every interaction and hyper focusing on how people think of me and how I'm being perceived and being witnessed. And even my work is that. Like, every version of myself in my work is episodic. Like, it's different versions of me from different emotions I'm experiencing and different memories I'm jumping through. But going back to that, being regulated, which I mean being in a calm state of thinking clearly and objectively, not just from the perspective of I'm upset or this is happening to me and I can't control it. You're coming from a state of almost wisdom where you're like, I'm calm right now. I can think on this clearly. This is the facts. I don't know this. I'm not going to assume this and react on something that's not even there in the first place, or I'm just like low-key delusional making this up in my head. It's really interesting. And I've been going through that as an adult And it's, I believe, made my personal relationships with people a lot more healthy and taken me out of that victim mentality of things happening to me. And I'm now here when something quote unquote like bad happens or unpredictable or out of control happens, I now see it as a learning opportunity for me to make a wise decision instead of an impulsive decision or baiting for a reaction from someone else. Because now I find that to be manipulative. Because why am I baiting for an emotional reaction from someone? Like, I feel like that's so immature and very impulsive and manipulative, and it makes me feel icky. So I'd rather focus on things that are real and not things that I'm just making up in my head. And all of that goes back to insecurity too. I think becoming much more sure of myself has really opened my eyes with how I handle conflicts and people coming and going in my life uncontrollably, which is okay, because I think we are meant to be fluid and we are meant to ebb and flow, and people are meant to come in and out of your life. Not everyone is here for the long run, and that's okay. So I wanted to find what I was saying here. So I wanted to read this entry. I said last year, I think this was around Christmas last year, but I'm like, I have these really interesting like blurbs where I'll just like talk about what I'm trying to do or like what I'm learning. But yeah, this is from last year. I said, I know I've been talking a lot about how I'm trying to get more of my self-worth sourced from myself instead of external validation. And that's true, but I want to emphasize that it's not easy. Most good things aren't, but still. It's really an uphill battle trying to maintain that self-source. There is many times where I want to clock myself for overreacting or overreaching validation, looking for something, usually a reaction outside of myself. I think a lot of that comes from how I obsessively try to find meaning in things too. Like, if I can connect the dots and find out why or how, it will somehow make me feel better or more justified for feeling a specific way. And then I put in brackets because sometimes I'll go back later and I'll read something and I'll say what emotion that was like driving that thought. So when I said that I somehow think it'll make me feel better or more justified for feeling a specific way, I put in brackets shame question mark, because I think that shame was a main factor of that thought, where I feel ashamed for like not having meaning out of something bad happening to me. So then how do I describe that? Like feeling ashamed for putting myself in a situation that I'm not learning something from, if that makes sense. So I'll like reach for meaning, hoping to gain a better version of myself from said happening event, if that makes sense. I said, I think it's human to want proof of your own. I think it's human to want proof of your own beliefs, but why isn't my proof enough? Because mirroring feels good, but I don't want to rely on mirroring to prove anything about my self-concept. I want my emotional experience to be enough for me, because I know it is. This is why I've struggled with the aftermath of so many breakups. Oh my god, I'm talking about breakups. This is why I've struggled with so many. Oh my god. This is why I've struggled with the aftermath of so many of my breakups too. I think if I understood what a person is doing or how they're feeling, that it will somehow give me some closure or satisfaction to how we ended things, or prove to myself that I mattered or affected them somehow. Like proof of personal meaning on connection. Like if I want to be the ex that stood out, I need to do something to their internal world. Is that selfish? Maybe. That is like crazy. Like that's like me becoming aware that I'm low-key like not like manipulative in the maniacal sense, but in the sense of like I want to affect someone to where I'm sticking. Like, that's crazy. In reality, I should have known the relationship I shared with them. Oh, in reality, I should know that it mattered, the relationship I shared with them. I should know that it was real because it was the whole time. My emotional experience should be proof enough that what I felt was true. It shouldn't matter how they're feeling now or then because I know myself, so why can't that be enough? So interesting. I know myself, so why can't that be enough? Why can't my emotional experience be enough? Why do I have to have confirmation of someone else's experience that we were both sharing? But I invalidate my own, and I think theirs is valid. At least I did at one point. How interesting that we put more emphasis on another's opinion or perspective than our own, which is the only, to be honest, the only real thing that you have is yourself. So I want to go back on influence. So this idea of putting emphasis on someone else's perspective more than your own, I think has gone back way further than the past couple of years for me. This started when I started believing in God or was raised Catholic, when I started thinking about God as a witness, someone who's always there and who's watching me make decisions and judging those decisions. And that had a big effect on me as a child. And I feel like it's transferred or mutated into how I handle relationships with certain people, where if I don't have this witness or this influence on me, I won't know how to change, or it won't bring out a version of me that I'm like proud of. And I'm really trying to come to terms with me being my own witness for myself and having that be enough. Like, I think it's crazy how invalidating I was to my own feelings for the longest time. And it's insane to even say that because my art is all about my feelings and I'm constantly watching it and judging it. But yet I seem to invalidate my own experiences when it comes to personal relationships. So interesting. But yeah, I guess the moral of this video is I'm trying to understand if other people feel the same way, perhaps. Like, witnessing your own patterns and ways of thinking and asking yourself if you want to continue living that way or if you do want to change, because I think change is one of the hardest things to do on your own when you don't have someone pointing it out for you. It's crazy, but that's what I'm making this series about, the post-grad stuff. Like, it's just my brain developing and me understanding why I behave the way I do, and if that's good or bad, or I don't know. I don't believe in good or bad. I don't know if that's healthy or if that's necessary for how I want to live my life. So interesting. So very interesting. But yeah, let me know. Have you discovered your own patterns? Have you witnessed things in the world that you want to unpack? I don't know. Yeah.